Okay, those who were here last year saw me talk a little bit about letter forms, letter spacing. Calligraphy is one of my hobbies. And so I want to talk about why there is a lowercase a. And there's actually a relevance to what we do here. Some of the early alphabetic writings were in the Middle Eastern area, the Phoenician area. And the technology to do the writing was a reed pen with ink on papyrus. Now papyrus was replaced by parchment, hand skin, because papyrus doesn't survive very well in damp climates, and because there was actually a monopoly on papyrus. It was a limited source commodity. And here we're showing the predecessor of the letter A, the letter Aleph, which literally means ox, and the original glyph was an ox head. The sound of Aleph is a consonant. It is the sound in the stereotypical Cockney pronunciation of bottle instead of bottle. It's a glottal stop. Bottle. Okay, so various forms of that glyph took place over time. This is a little fragment from the Dead Sea Scrolls, and that shape right there is what it had become by that point. Now, this was consonants only. So early writing systems had only consonants with no vowels. Now, we can sort of get away with that kind of thing, but our language does really depend on vowels. And you remember what the rule for English vowels is, right? A, E, I, O, U, sometimes W and Y. There are actually some letters that can serve the role either of vowels or consonants. Well, the Greeks picked up the Proto-Phoenician glyphs and adapted the ones that matched sounds that they had, but there were some sounds they didn't have in their language. And they needed the vowels, so they took some of the symbols that were used for consonants they didn't have and repurposed them to have vowel sounds for Greek. They often wrote in early times, especially in a style called bostropedon, which means as the ox plows, the successive lines go back and forth from one side to the other.
So because you have to know which line you're on to know which direction.
Well, some of the letters are directional, so you can figure out. But if you're carving on a large surface, it's easier to work your way across, then work your way back, then work your way across. So notice again, a monoline or a single weight of line in the chiseled stone. Note the effect of the style of writing and the tools of writing on the letter forms and what they look like. Now, this is the classic Roman monumental capitals. This is an excerpt from Trajan's column, which is like the pinnacle of the Roman capital letters. Thanks to the work of Edward Kadich, who was a sign painter turned Catholic priest turned paleographer, it is currently accepted that these letters were designed by being drawn on the stone with a flat brush and then chiseled out. And the serifs at the ends of the stroke serve two purposes. They clean up the ragged edge of the brush, and they also give you a nice finish of the carved edge. But at the same time, there were other forms that the Romans were using we normally don't think about unless you're a paleographer or a calligrapher. There was a cursive style of writing that was optimized for speed. It was a commercial type of writing, contracts and bills of lading and things like that. And right there is our letter A again. Notice it's highly simplified and stylized so it can be written quickly. Entering the Dark Ages, another technology emerged, that is using quill on parchment or vellum. And many of these documents were religious or official, so appearance and legibility were very important. Note the effect of the edged tool here. This is a quick sketch of a quill pen. When the pen is moving perpendicular to the edge, you get a broad stroke. When it's moving parallel, you get a thin stroke. There were all kinds of other letter forms that developed from all sorts of purposes until finally Big Chuck, also known as Charles the Great, Charlemagne, whatever, decided to create a uniform style of writing that looks more like we recognize today. The pointed pen uses pressure to control the edges. Now, metal type freed the designer from even having to worry about what you could do with your hand. And so we end up with, why did we say it was uppercase? Because the lead slugs were put in two frames with little compartments in them. The big letters were put in the upper case, and the little letters were put in the lower case. And the same fragment, or the same structure is also a source of other things that we know, like mind your P's and Q's. You have to be real careful when you put those letters back in the right place. What's this got to do with us? Well, Because the letter forms were influenced by the available technology and the demands of the clients.
Right.
They were constantly changing. Does that sound like programming languages?